All right, strap yourselves in, because today we're going deep on a wild piece of aviation history.
Oh, yeah.
The Horton Ho 229.
Absolutely.
This is a jet from World War II.
Yeah.
But it's not just any jet.
Nope.
It's a flying wing.
It is.
And it's a design so radical for the time that some even say it might have influenced modern stealth aircraft.
Wow.
Like the B-2 bomber.
Fascinating.
We'll be breaking all this down and more from a YouTube video that really gets into how this thing worked and its place in history.
So picture this.
Okay.
It's late World War II, and Germany is really struggling.
Oh, yeah.
Facing constant bombing raids by the Allies.
They needed some kind of edge.
For anything, really.
So this is where Hermann Goering comes in.
Oh, yeah.
He was a high-ranking Nazi official.
Right.
And he gives his engineers a challenge.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just any challenge.
Oh, no.
He asks for a bomber that can carry 1,000 kilograms of bombs,
Okay.
fly over 1,000 kilometers, and reach a speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour.
1,000 kilometers an hour?
That's right.
In the 1940s?
This is the 1940s.
So trying to achieve all that at once was just a moonshot.
Truly audacious.
So into this pressure cooker
Yes.
stepped the Horten brothers.
The Horton brothers.
Reimar and Walter.
Hmm.
With a radical idea.
And what's that?
The flying wing.
The flying wing.
So for those of us who are not aviation experts,
Of course.
what is a flying wing design and why was it such a big deal back then?
So a flying wing basically takes the wings and the body of the aircraft and merges them together.
Okay.
It's a seamless shape.
So like a giant flat teardrop.
Yeah, like a giant flattened teardrop.
Okay.
And you get rid of the need for a fuselage and a tail.
Okay.
And this reduces drag a lot.
So it's faster and more fuel efficient.
Much faster and more fuel efficient.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The lack of all those big flat surfaces also makes it harder to see on radar.
Potentially.
So you're saying that this design back in World War II?
Was already thinking about stealth technology.
In a way, yeah.
That's incredible.
It really is.
But it couldn't all be smooth sailing, right?
Well, there was one major challenge.
What's that?
Stability
Okay.
without a traditional tail.
Uh-huh.
Controlling these things was super tricky.
I bet.
The Horten brothers had to come up with some really complex control surfaces
Oh, wow.
and advanced flight control systems to keep this thing in the sky.
So they were not only trying to build a revolutionary aircraft,
Right.
they were fighting the laws of physics.
Exactly.
So how far did they actually get? Did the Ho 229 ever see combat?
Sadly, no.
Yep.
Development was plagued by resource shortages.
Yeah.
It was just a very complex project.
Sure.
They only managed to build a few prototypes before the war ended.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
So what happened to them?
Well,
Did they just scrap them?
not quite.
Okay.
So Allied forces, as they closed in on Germany,
Uh-huh.
captured a nearly complete prototype,
Wow.
the V3, along with a ton of research data.
I can imagine the surprise of those troops when they found this thing.
Oh, I know.
This must have looked like it was from a sci-fi movie compared to everything else they were seeing.
Right. It did.
And I heard there was this theory that it had a special coating,
Yes.
a charcoal stealth coating.
Some experts think that's what it is.
Is this some ancient secret stealth tech?
It's a bit of a mystery, honestly.
Okay.
There's evidence that suggests they were experimenting with a mix of charcoal and glue,
Okay.
but whether that was for stealth or just for protection is still debated today.
It just adds another layer of intrigue to this already crazy story.
It does.
So the Americans get their hands on this Ho 229,
Mm-hmm.
and what happens next?
Well, they shipped the whole thing.
Oh.
Prototype, research data, back to the United States.
And this is where things get really interesting,
This is where it gets good.
because this is where the Ho 229
Yeah.
starts to intertwine with America's stealth bomber.
The B-2 spirit.
Now we're talking.
Here we go.
Everyone's heard the rumor
Oh, yeah.
that the Ho 229 directly inspired the B-2.
Right.
It's like an aviation conspiracy theory. How much truth is there to it?
Cool.
Did the Americans just copy the Germans?
It's tempting to just draw a straight line
Yeah.
from the Ho 229 to the B-2,
Yeah.
but the reality is a little more nuanced.
Okay, so there's more to the story.
There is?
I'm all ears.
Okay, well, for starters, Northrop.
That's the American aircraft manufacturer.
Yes.
Okay.
They had already been experimenting with flying wings.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, before the Ho 229 was even captured.
So they were already onto this idea.
They were working on projects like the YB-35 and the YB-49,
Okay.
both flying wing designs.
Wow.
So it wasn't a totally new concept to them.
Okay, so the idea of flying wing was already floating around.
Yeah.
But what about the stealth? Did the
Oh.
captured Ho-229 and its mysterious charcoal coating help America with stealth tech?
It's tricky.
Yeah.
While the Ho-229 might have had some stealth characteristics.
Right.
Hello.
Due to its shape
Right.
and that potential charcoal coating,
Uh-huh.
the real breakthrough for the B-2
Yeah.
and for all modern stealth aircraft
Okay.
came from advancements in flight control systems.
So it's not just the shape.
No,
It's about controlling it.
you got it.
Which makes sense because it was so hard to fly these things back then.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Flying wings are notoriously unstable.
Right.
They don't have that inherent stability of a normal tail.
Right. Right.
It wasn't until computers got powerful enough to make real-time adjustments,
Okay.
constantly compensating for the instability,
Yeah.
that the flying wing design became practical,
Especially for military applications.
especially.
And especially for something as advanced as the B-2.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like even though the Ho-229 might have given them some inspiration,
Uh-huh.
the B-2 was really a product of decades of American research and development.
Yes.
With its own advanced materials,
Mm.
radar-absorbing tech.
And, of course, those game-changing flight control systems.
Precisely.
So if someone wanted to know how stealthy the Ho-229 actually was,
Yeah.
there's an interesting experiment you could tell us about.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 2008,
2008,
Northrop Grumman.
they built the B-2.
That's right.
They teamed up with National Geographic
Okay.
to put the Ho-229 to the test.
Wait,
Yeah.
they actually built and tested one.
They did.
Okay, now I have to hear this. What did they do?
They built a full-scale replica.
Of the Ho-229?
Yes.
Out of what?
Out of wood.
Oh, wow.
And they used the original blueprints.
Wow.
They even replicated the charcoal coating,
And then they did what?
and then they put it through a simulated radar test,
Okay.
using equipment similar to what the British would have had in World War II.
So what happened?
Well,
Did they find anything?
it wasn't invisible,
Okay.
but it did show some promising results,
Like what?
especially at lower altitudes.
Oh, interesting.
It definitely would have been harder to detect than a normal aircraft from that era.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
It makes you think what the Horton brothers could have done with more time,
absolutely.
more resources, more tech.
For sure.
It really makes you wonder.
It does. You know, it's amazing to think about how that drive,
Yeah.
that spirit of innovation that drove the Horton brothers
Mm-hmm.
is still alive and well today in aviation.
It really is. So we've established that the Ho-229 was a fascinating
Yes.
and potentially influential aircraft. But what can it teach us about the future of flight?
Wow.
You mentioned sixth-generation fighter jets.
Yes.
What's the connection there?
One of the most obvious is stealth.
Okay.
Like we talked about that flying wing design.
Mm-hmm.
The wings blend seamlessly with the body.
Yeah.
That inherently gives you a smaller radar signature.
So there's less surface area for radar to bounce off of.
That's it.
So it's harder to detect.
Harder to detect.
That's basically stealth technology.
It is a core principle of stealth.
And so sixth-generation fighters are taking that even further.
Oh, yeah. They're expected to take that to a whole new level.
Like what?
We're talking about advancements in radar-absorbing materials,
Okay.
sophisticated electronic countermeasures to confuse enemy radar.
Oh, wow.
They're even looking at something called plasma stealth technology.
Plasma stealth.
Plasma stealth.
That sounds like we're in a sci-fi movie now.
It might sound futuristic,
Yeah.
but research into plasma stealth has been going on for a while now.
Okay.
And the basic idea is to create a layer of ionized gas,
Okay.
or plasma, around the aircraft, and that can absorb or deflect radar waves.
So you're saying that they want to make fighter jets invisible to radar
Yes,
by surrounding them with a cloud of superheated gas.
that's the idea.
That's wild.
It's pretty wild. And you know that flying wing design
Yeah.
with its stealth advantages makes it a perfect platform for this type of technology.
It's like the Horton brothers were already onto something big,
Mm-hmm.
even if they didn't have the technology to actually make it work.
Right.
But stealth isn't the only thing that makes these sixth-generation fighters special, right?
Oh, no.
So what else are we talking about?
Oh, there's a whole laundry list of advanced features.
Like what?
Things that probably would have blown the Hortons' minds.
Okay.
One of them is optionally manned or even unmanned capabilities.
Okay.
Some of these fighters are being designed to operate autonomously.
What does that mean?
So either with a pilot who can switch to autopilot
Okay.
or potentially without a pilot at all.
So basically drone fighter jets.
Yeah, like drone fighter jets.
That's pretty crazy when you think about it.
It is.
That changes the whole game of warfare.
Absolutely.
What would pilots even do?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
And one that's being debated right now.
But even beyond autonomous flight,
even beyond that.
What else?
They're talking about integrating directed energy weapons,
What's...
things like high-powered lasers.
Okay, hold on. So laser beams shooting out of fighter jets.
It might sound like science fiction, but these directed energy weapons are becoming a reality.
So a fighter jet that can shoot down a missile with a laser?
Or disable enemy aircraft with a beam of light.
The implications for air combat are huge.
They are enormous.
Like every day,
I know.
we get closer and closer to what we thought was science fiction.
It really is amazing.
So we've got stealth, we've got autonomous flight, we've got laser weapons.
Yeah.
What else is going on with these sixth-generation fighters?
Well, situational awareness is going to be key,
Okay.
like a 360-degree view of the battle space.
Okay.
So these fighters are going to be loaded with advanced sensors, radar systems, infrared cameras, electronic warfare suites,
Okay.
all feeding information to the pilot in real time.
So like a super-powered version of those heads-up displays we see today.
Exactly, taken to a whole new level.
Giving the pilot this amazing view of everything around them.
Yeah, an unparalleled awareness.
And how are they going to process all that information?
They're going to rely on artificial intelligence.
Hold on. AI and fighter jets.
AI and fighter jets.
That's crazy.
Let's hope it doesn't take over the world.
Right. Let's hope the AI doesn't go rogue.
Seriously, though, AI will be crucial.
For what?
For analyzing all that sensor data, prioritizing threats.
So it helps the pilot make decisions.
Yeah, it'll even suggest tactical maneuvers.
So almost like an AI co-pilot.
Yeah, like a co-pilot.
That's pretty wild.
And of course, we can't forget speed and maneuverability.
What about that?
Sixth-generation fighters are expected to be hypersonic.
What's that mean?
Meaning they can fly faster than Mach 5?
Mach 5.
Mach 5, 5 times the speed of sound?
5 times the speed of sound. That's insane.
To put it in perspective,
Yeah.
you could fly from New York to LA in about an hour.
That's incredible. What kind of engines would even power that?
We're talking about scramjets.
What are those?
They're basically jet engines designed to operate at hypersonic speeds.
It really is like cutting-edge stuff.
Cutting edge.
So we've got stealthy, autonomous, laser-armed,
Yes.
hypersonic,
Uh-huh.
AI-powered fighter jets.
It's a lot.
It sounds like a video game,
I know.
but this
Yeah.
is all really in development right now.
It is. It's amazing.
It's amazing to think how quickly things are changing.
It is a testament to that.
It makes you wonder what the future of air combat is going to look like.
I know.
But let's not forget where it all started,
Yeah.
with two brothers
Yeah.
in a workshop dreaming of something completely new.
You're right. The Horton brothers and their Ho 229 are a great example of how seemingly crazy ideas can actually be ahead of their time.
It really makes you think.
It really does.
Their story is a reminder that innovation comes from pushing the boundaries
Absolutely.
of what we think is possible.
It does.
And speaking of pushing those boundaries,
Yeah.
you mentioned that the Hortons had even bigger plans for a flying wing.
Oh,
Something about a transatlantic bomber?
the Horton Ho 8?
That was a pretty ambitious concept.
It was a massive flying wing.
Yeah.
Bigger than anything they had ever built.
To do what?
Capable of carrying a bomb load all the way from Germany to New York City.
That's a long flight.
Very long.
So what were they thinking?
Well, they were in a desperate situation,
Yeah.
and they were convinced that the flying wing design was the answer to
Yeah.
long-range strategic bombing.
So they could strike at the enemy from far away.
Yes. The Ho X-8 was their answer.
It sounds bold.
It does.
Almost reckless.
I guess when your back's against the wall, you'll try anything.
So what did this thing even look like? How big are we talking?
It was massive.
Like, how massive?
Imagine a wingspan over 40 meters,
Longer than a 737.
longer than a Boeing 737.
And they were going to power this thing with what?
6 jet engines.
6 jet engines.
6.
That's insane.
It is.
The logistics of building something like that
Oh,
in the middle of a war must have
Yeah.
been a nightmare.
It was a major hurdle.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's why it never really got off the ground.
It was just too ambitious.
Way too ambitious.
It's too bad. It would have been amazing to see what they could have done.
I know.
But even if it never left the drawing board, it shows how ambitious they were.
It does.
And it shows their faith in that flying wing design.
Absolutely. The Huakai might have been too far ahead of its time.
Yeah.
But it shows us that progress in aviation, and really in any field,
Mhm.
comes from dreaming big.
Even when those dreams seem impossible.
Exactly.
But back to the present.
Back to the present.
It seems like a lot of those dreams of the future are becoming reality now.
With those 6th-gen fighters, yeah.
What other innovations are we going to see?
Well, the pace of technological change is so fast, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But I think one area that's really exciting
Mm.
is the development of advanced materials.
Materials, what do you mean?
Well, think lighter, stronger materials that can withstand the stresses of hypersonic flight.
Okay, so materials that make the aircraft even better.
More fuel efficient, more maneuverable, stealthier.
So material science is going to be just as important as engines and computer systems.
It's all interconnected.
And what about nanotech?
Oh, yeah. Nanotech could lead to all sorts of breakthroughs.
Like what?
Like self-healing materials that can repair themselves in flight.
Wow.
Or tiny sensors embedded throughout the aircraft.
So they're constantly monitoring its health.
Exactly.
It's like the
Yeah.
future of aviation is going to be shaped as much by materials and nanotech as aerodynamics.
That's right.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll look back at these sixth-generation fighters and be amazed by how simple they are.
Like we look back at the Ho 229 now.
Yeah, what do you think the Horton brothers would think if they could see these new aircraft?
I think they'd be proud.
Yeah,
Despite all the challenges they face,
Yeah.
they were visionaries.
they really were.
And their pursuit of innovation has really had a lasting impact on aviation.
It has.
And even though their designs may not have led directly to the B-2
Yeah.
or all these futuristic sixth-generation fighters, their spirit is still there
Absolutely.
in the engineers and the designers today.
It's inspiring to think that even in the middle of a war,
I know.
they were dreaming of a future full of these amazing technologies.
It speaks to the power of human ingenuity.
It really does. And it seems like the flying wing concept isn't just for the military anymore.
Right.
I've heard that companies are looking into them for cargo planes
Yeah.
and even passenger jets.
That's right. What do you think about that?
It does, doesn't it? I mean, when you really think about it, a flying wing for cargo or passengers just makes sense.
Yeah, especially with all the benefits you get.
Like what?
Well, increased fuel efficiency because we have less drag, we can have bigger cargo holds,
Okay.
and even potentially quieter flights.
So let's break that down for our listener.
Sure.
Starting with cargo planes.
Mhm.
I can see how a flying wing would be good for moving stuff around.
Nate.
More space, less fuel.
Exactly.
But what about for people?
Yeah.
How would that even work?
Just imagine this massive, sleek wing
Okay.
gracefully just soaring through the sky,
Mm-hmm.
carrying hundreds of passengers.
Okay.
That's the vision, at least.
Yeah.
But you do have some challenges with that.
Yeah, like where do you even put everyone?
Right.
It seems like with a flying wing, everyone would be crammed into this one big wide space.
Right.
No more window seats.
That's one of the things the engineers are working on.
What's that?
How to design a passenger cabin
Mhm.
that's both spacious and comfortable
Yeah.
and still gives you the aerodynamic benefits of a flying wing.
No, like what are they thinking?
Well, think about innovative seating arrangements,
Okay.
maybe even panoramic views from the center of the aircraft.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not just about putting seats into a big wing.
Right.
There's a lot of thought that goes into it.
What about safety?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how do you get everyone out of there?
Exactly.
It seems like evacuating would be totally different.
Evacuation procedures would definitely have to be different.
So what are they going to do?
Well, designers are coming up with some creative solutions.
Like what?
Well, they're thinking about multiple exits along the wingspan
Okay.
and maybe inflatable slides for quick evacuation.
So there are some hurdles,
There are definitely some hurdles.
but it seems like there's a lot of potential benefits.
Huge potential benefits.
I mean, imagine a world where flying is faster,
yes.
more efficient, and even quieter because of these flying wings.
Exactly. And it's not just comfort and efficiency.
What else?
Well, think about the environment.
Yeah.
If you can make aircraft a lot more fuel efficient,
Right.
that means fewer emissions,
Which is better for everyone.
which is good for everyone.
It's incredible to think that the legacy of the Horton brothers,
Yeah.
something that came out of a world war,
Mm-hmm.
could lead to a future of greener air travel.
It really is remarkable.
It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
It is. It speaks to the power of human ingenuity.
Did
That even in the darkest times,
Yeah.
people can still imagine and create.
and make things better for future generations.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but I am feeling inspired.
Me too.
Who knows, maybe someday we'll be flying around in these sleek, silent flying wings.
I hope so.
But for now, I want to thank you for taking this deep dive with us
It's been my pleasure.
into the world of the Horton Ho 229 and the future of flight.
A fascinating piece of aviation history.
It really is. And to our listener,
Yes.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What other impossible ideas
Yeah.
from history
Mm.
might actually hold the key to solving the problems of tomorrow?
That's a good question.
I think it is.
It is.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been fun.